Okay, hello and welcome to the darkness. I can't see the keyboard, you can see the keyboard, everything is fine. Today I'm going to implement OpenGL Render for the SnakeGame that we created in the longest video that was 47 minutes that like 4 of you watched to the end. Anyhow, let's start. So last time did an OpenGL triangle just to try out how to do that, and here's the code for that, and it's in the description if you want to go and get it of the other video. In this video, this code that is done after this video will be in the description also, a link to it. So let's start. Let's first just execute this to look at what we're working with. So we're working with the original SnakeGame without any curses extension that was in the buffering video. We're taking the original one and try to render this in OpenGL instead. So let's include OpenGL or OpenGL utility library or the GLUT library. And after we've done that, then we need to initialize OpenGL. There we go. And then we need to set the mode, display mode, if we want to double buffering on things like that, and we do. And I want RGB mode also. And then we want to set window size of the window we're going to open. In the example video, I think I swapped those around, so I open the window first and then set the size, which doesn't work. So there you go. So hopefully that will open a window for us. But we need to call the GL main loop also. Let's do that. I just for now commenting out all of that. Just test to execute this. And nothing happened. That's interesting. So initialize display. Well, I have no display function. I wonder if that's needed. I was expecting that it would be creating a window for me at least. I don't think this is needed, so there's something else that's wrong. But we need the display function anyhow later, so. Oh, and yeah, if you want introduction to OpenGL, jump to that video, and if you want introduction to the text game, jump to that one, and if you want to double buffering, of course, jump there, right? So let's try that. And here I got my epic white window. So let's do a clear, and we're going to do a clear of glut. Oh, what's the name of that one? I have to check from the program we did before. Glut color buffer bit, that's the one we're going to clear out. Yeah, it's a cheating to look at that one, but hey. I'm going to clear that, and we're going to do a glut swap buffers in the end. And last time we can copy over that also. Last time we did draw a polygon, This time I want to draw a quad, but we can start with a polygon to see if it works. And work quite nicely, so yeah, we can render things. So let's start with a quad instead, which is a like square rectangle. And let's just have one color for now. So there we go. So we're going to go from coordinate -1, -1 to 1, -1 to 1, 1 and -1, 1. And try to explain that one. Let's start the tool here. So we have the screen. I have -1, -1 and 1, 1 and 0, 0. Could be that -1, 1 is down in this corner and 1, 1 is up here, but hey, we'll figure that one out soon, right? So let's see if we have a quad. It's not called quad. It's called quads. Well, it became a red window at least. So let's try to make this just a little bit smaller. Run it again. And that worked. Now we got the border around it, so that worked. So we just drawn a red square. So we need to draw red squares, or other color of square, hopefully, for each cell in the board we had in this game, or the text game. So for each of the elements in there, we need to draw something. So let's steal some iteration around it here. So there we go. Or we have a print somewhere. Take that one instead. Somewhere we have where it prints prints the board. There we go. Let's steal that one. And then we go into our new function. So we're just going to read out the text character at all those different coordinates. And then depending on what's in memory there, we're going to switch the color. So we had the border, we had the snake head, which, there we go. Had the snake body. We had the background, that was nothing. And I'm going to add a case here that's we're going to add in for game over later. Because I'm not going to bother trying to render a font in this stream, so that I have to do later. And all we're going to do when we read one of those is to switch up the color. And of course we need to render the quad, but this needs to be inside that for loop. There we go. And let's pick some colors here first. So I want the gray border. That's gray. And I want the red snake, and that's already red. The background should be black. And on game over, let's just set what should we do? Let's set green and red and green together. And then we need to modify these, of course. And the coordinates. Is that how we do it? Oh, there we go. So the coordinates was from -1 to 1. So the distance between them, of course, is 2. So we know that part, so we can use that to calculate where we should draw the quad. Now I have to think. Okay, so this is how we're going to calculate those quads. We're going to set the quad size. That's 2 divided by columns. Let's set the quad x size. My quad y size. I happen to know that it's the same for now, but it might not be in the future. I'll make it a float. So since it goes from -1 to 1, has a size of 2. Let's have a size of a quad. And then we just need to place it. The quad x size times x, where we are. And then we need to take away 1 from it, because it goes from -1 to 1. Is that correct? It would be interesting if it is. So let's try that. And yes, we need to add in some offsets here. So that's a starting point to the left up. That's this one. And that's fine. And the next one here should be this one. And I changed my mind, this is not fine. So when this is 0, this goes to 0. Then we set -1, that's correct. That is also correct, by the way. Is it just +1 here? Because we're jumping to that next corner. And we're keeping to that next corner, then we go back. We're keeping to next corner, and then we go back there. I also see that there should be a Y here, but let's add for formatting purposes. There we go. Chance that it works for the first time is like 0. It could be more than 0. I mean, maybe it works. Maybe it works. Well, it worked wonderful, not at all. The quad 2 divided by the columns. Then we have x times the quads. And then take -1 of that. Which seems fine. Also notice that it became a white color, which is odd because I don't set the white color here. So if I do not print that. Okay, so at least it rendered something. We've got x times the size. I do think is correct. This is odd. Let's just make it smaller. Well, it did get smaller, so. We've got quad size. Someone is screaming in the comments. What's wrong? Maybe I should actually fill in the board at all, because the board is empty. Try that. So when we're not rendering anything, we're going to call idle func. But that will be called many times, so maybe try to execute this once before here, just to test out the theory that the memory is actually empty. Oh, look at that. That is actually SnakeGame, I think. That means that this worked. Okay. There we go. I forgot the food. Should render some food. And I do not really know why we have the walls in the middle of the gaming area, but there we go. There we go. Start of the snake and no input yet, so I have to try to fix the logic for updating the game. We're going to read keyboard. So let's add a keyboard function. There we go, and we have already code for reading the keyboard. But we're not going to use it, I see. Delta, where do we have the delta? Don't we use the delta? Oh yeah. Steal this anyhow. text version of the snake game, the snake doesn't move until I press any key, and we need it to move when I press some key. So let's make a delta y and x and y that's representing the speed of the snake when I'm not pressing anything. And that's what we're going to set in here. Delta x, delta y. And it's winter over here, and that's why it's so dark. So even though I have a big window in front of me, doesn't really help much. And could I turn on the lights? Yeah, I could, if I wanted. So we set the delta of it and in the key function, and then we move it in the idle function. We could test moving it directly in here just to test it out. This key is sent in, and we have x and y coordinates of any pointer is also sent in. There we go. And nothing happens. Because we do not update the board. Not, of course, we need to do that. That's what we should do in the idle function. Okay, so it didn't work. Need to move all of this logic, more or less. And then we can skip the setup here also. Need to fill the board, draw the food on the board, draw the snake, execute the game rules, clear the screen which isn't used anymore, and we can actually print out the board the text so we can see that the game seems to be doing what we want. And we got them somewhere. And it crashed because of the game rules is not followed. But it's also called this function a lot. Let's see that again. Calls it all the time, and that's not how it's supposed to be. It calls it way too fast, and that's because as fast as it's idle, it's going to call into this function. So we're just going to block that. We're going to include unistandard, and then we have access to a few timer functions. Access the clock. I think clock is in there at least. So what we're going to try to do here is add in a delay. We're going to start with just 100. and see if that makes any difference. It does not, because this is not milliseconds, so nanoseconds, which should be having a lot more than 100 in there. Is that a second? So that's tenths of a second. Let's try that. And now it seems to update much slower. A little bit hard to say, but it's slower. Should I try to actually add in the correct clock? Nah. So we see that this one updates. This one does not. And it stops updating when I'm touching the window, so yeah. You have to trust me that it do update. So we need to pause the redisplay. Totally guessing on that name. Oh yeah, look at that. And the game rules does not work. And up and down is also wrong. Yeah, up and down is wrong. And it crashes when it runs outside of the board, because the game rules apparently does not work. So let's fix the up and down issue. Need to reverse this one. There we go. Have offset the error also. So with no border on top here. And the missing in the bottom here. But I think I will ignore that for now. Or maybe not. I mean, it's either -1 or +1. So +1. No, it's not. It's the other direction. This is programming by guessing. Yeah, there we go. Probably should make this window a little bit bigger. There we go. Then we just need to figure out what's wrong with the game rules. So let's run into myself here. Or into the wall. Yeah, clearly the game rules does not work. There's no game over. Could it be that we just do not detect game over, because the normal game would just quit on game over? That could actually be it. Might work fine. So let's go into, where should we go? Can remove this stuff. I thought making a nicer delay, so it figures out how long time it really should sleep instead of just sleeping 100 milliseconds, but whatever. Let's see, game rules. And it sets the game over. So if we have game over, we stop moving. And we move here. So if is game over, or more correctly, if it's not game over. Now we should stop moving when it's game over, and we need to display that it is game over also. So let's fill in something on the board so we can tell. In here we could fill in something. I think a background, we just changed the background here. Is game over? Question mark. If that's then we'll put an X, else we just put the normal background. Okay, so the game is still working, and there we go, game over. Since I can't render any text yet, this has to do for a game over screen. We can clean up a bit of code that's unused. We had a print function that wasn't used anymore. Don't read the keyboard either, that's not used. Print board is not used. Clear screen is not used. I think that's it. Did I just delete keyboard function? No, I did not. Warning, passing one argument. Incompatible type. Okay. Has it said that all the time? Void. Ah. That's probably why. Okay, that error went away. Now we can clean it up. Clean up that. And clean up the read keyboard that's not used. We had the print also, right? Where did it go? There we go. Perfect. Yeah. So this code will be in the repository. The repository is listed in the description. And yeah. See you another day.